The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network and our fine family of broadcast affiliates across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, 20 Asian countries, and now in the European Union. And the rest of the world on TalkStarRadio.com streaming audio. My producer tonight at Master Control is my good friend Superman. And I'd like to welcome all our affiliates who are joining us now on the Talkstar Radio Network. Our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. My email address is xzone@TalkStarRadio.com. On MSN Messenger, TalkStarRadio@hotmail.com. And our two websites, www.xzoneradio.com, and our TV and radio website where we broadcast live around the world is www.xzonetv.com. My guest this hour is Ruth Hoskins, and she has a PhD, an HHS, which stands for Holistic Health Sciences, an LCSW, BCD, and she's the founder of the Psychology of Balance Wellness Programs and Effortless Meditation Therapy in Philadelphia, is the director of the Relaxation International. She is recognized in the 2005 National Register of Who's Who's and Executives and Professionals, an adjunct professor at Chester Hill College teaching health psychology, the mind-body connection. Ruth earned her PhD in Holistic Health Sciences and completed research on dream incubation, and that's the ability to solve problems during sleep. She's been a trainer for top 5 Fortune 500 companies, licensed clinical social worker, stress management consultant, certified relationships counselor, and approved critical incident stress trainer. Ruth is a national speaker presenting information on mind-body health. She is the author of several products to enhance one's mood, including No Time for Downtime, Balance Your Life, and Dream Moments. And joining us now from, let me see, I don't know exactly where she is. Ruth, where are you located right now?
I'm in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is our special guest, Ruth Hoskins. Ruth, thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as your guest this evening. Glad to be here.
Dream incubation. Never heard of it.
Okay, well, it's a very interesting concept where we can actually cultivate a dream. We can ask for answers to a dream. We can solve problems in our sleep. Basically, dream incubation is solving problems in our sleep. And what we do is just like incubating, just what the term says. It's kind of like taking something and bringing it to fruition at a very important time when we're sleeping. And when our mind moves a lot more freely, often we have out-of-body experiences and we get a 360-degree point of view. So we get a lot of answers. Our psyche can really churn up a lot of information, and sometimes dreams can be prophetic, too.
So basically we're able to tap into the universe and use the universal database?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great way to put it, Rob, really, the universal database, that the information really is there. But we tend to ignore it. We're in such a rush. We are so busy. We are constantly doing things. We're on the go, and we're very active people, so we don't often stop. And we do have to stop and relax. Stress management is a field that I've been in a long time to help people to develop their intuition so that they can even tap into or even hear this voice of the universal database.
Ruth, please stand by. We have to take our first 2-minute commercial break. Ruth Hoskins is our special guest, www.relaxationinternational.com. We're talking about dreams this hour on the X Zone. If you'd like to give us a call and ask Ruth any questions, 1-877-528-8255, toll free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. My name's Rob McConnell, and this is the X Zone, coming to you live from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, exclusively on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone TV, and on shortwave.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits, and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Are you interested in the paranormal, ghosts, UFOs, or psychic phenomenon? Join me, Tim Bartley, co-host of Talking to Spirits with Lightworkers Tim and Justina, coming mid-January 2017 to the XZBN. We will channel spirits live and talk to them, revealing all kinds of amazing information. Spiritual attachments will be found and removed on the show, and so much more. To find out when you can listen to Talking to Spirits with Lightworkers Tim and Justina, visit www.xzbn.net for listeners on both sides of the veil.
Ruth Hoskins is our special guest, relaxationinternational.com. And Ruth, how do we implant the problem that we want to solve before we go to sleep, and how do we get to dream about it?
Well, the best thing to do is to get really intentional. Let's say you have a relationship problem, for example, or a work problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would write it down. You put it down on paper before you go to bed. Keep a dream journal. That's really very important to do. And you put it out there. You write it. You say, I'd like some help. I need some guidance. I want to be able to get an answer to how to solve this relationship problem that I'm having, or some purpose or direction in life, or what should I do? Perhaps I need to change a job or confront my boss or coworker. And then after we write that down, we read it over a few times. We think about it a little bit. We don't have to dwell on it, but then we just put it down, and we go to sleep, or whatever our usual routine is. And sometimes we'll wake up in the middle of the night. It's very important to write down any fragments of dreams. Some people think that they don't dream, but everybody does dream. And then in the morning, see if you can catch more information, and take a good week or even two to put together some of the threads and some of the patterns and see what the answers are. And dreams will give you the information, really helps you tap into your intuition to solve the problem.
Now, What does we talked about what the term dream incubation means, but how long has dream incubation been around, and how did it get started?
Well, actually, it's been around quite a long time. The Egyptians, during the Egyptian time, people would go into, we would fast, first of all, and we would go to the temples, and we would get ourselves purified, and we would go in there with that same intentionality of getting answers from this higher place, a holy place, a spiritual place, and we would sleep there, and we would keep going back there until we felt clear, until we got the information. So it goes back quite a long ways, back into the Egyptian times, and even the Greeks also used dream incubation. It's been used in cultures throughout history. In our Western culture, our modern-day culture, some of it's been lost because we have a very big push towards scientific information and having things be proven with testing and research. But it's a different kind of process to get information through our intuition, and that the only way that you can really test it is subjectively. So, and when you have a direct experience, like I've had many prophetic dreams, and prophetic dreams are not just fluff. You can get people speaking to you in dreams in terms of dates and times and what can happen if you're lucky, and watch it play out. So it goes back a long way. So we've been a little out of touch with it in our modern day society, unfortunately.
All right, let's go to our phones. We have Kathy in Ottawa joining us. Hi, Kathy.
How are you?
Good. And your question for...
It may sound unreasonable, but it is, let me know, but I'm visually impaired, okay? And I'm just wondering, now this may be silly. I don't even know if I dream. And if there's any way of me knowing that I dream, can you figure out a way? Because I'm blind, I don't even know whether I dream or not.
Okay, so the first thing that you said, the first sentence was?
She's visually impaired, and she'd like to know if visually impaired people dream.
Absolutely. But what you're saying, Kathy, is that you don't pick up on your dreams. Did I hear you correctly? Kathy?
I don't know if Kathy's still with us.
Oh, okay.
I'm with you.
All right, Kathy,
Okay,
do you have trouble?
I can't hear her, but I can hear you.
All right, Kathy, do you have problems remembering your dreams?
That's it. I don't even know if I dream. That's my thing.
Everybody dreams.
That's what I mean. Because I'm thinking of another show that you had, Rob, with that man that had the mask there. The dream mask.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to think, do I dream? You know who I'm talking about as well?
Yeah, I remember the show.
Yeah. I've been often thinking about that.
Well,
I mean, I know some nights when I get excited, I can't sleep.
Right.
But I just wondered if I actually have a dream.
Absolutely.
Our guest is saying absolutely, you do dream.
Mm-hmm. Everybody does
Oh,
dream.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How would I know that?
Well, you have to want to remember your dreams.
Pardon?
And you have to want to cultivate...
What was that, Rob?
You have to want to remember your dreams.
And
Okay.
you have to want to cultivate the ability to even think it's important enough to take the time, especially when we're tired, to write down dreams. And then there really is an art of interpretation. It might not come the very first time, but after a period of time, you will really see information in there that's very specific. And sometimes the information is so specific that you can't ignore it.
Okay, thank you for calling, Kathy. And my question to you, Ruth, is how do people who are visually impaired dream, and what do they dream about?
Well, actually, it's in my opinion, there's no difference, because it's not, when we're dreaming, we're not seeing actually through our eyes. We're tapping into that universal database.
I understand that, but if somebody has been blind since birth, where would they get the recall of the imagery to dream with?
Okay, so what you're saying to me is that from this question, we're assuming that this person's been blind from birth.
Yes.
But still, people who are blind, and if anybody wants to call and comment on this, are taking in enormous amounts of information.
Mm-hmm.
And that information is processed differently than the way we do, people who have the ability to see, but still through other senses. And those senses are heightened through touch and through smell, and they create images for that person. Now, it may not be the images that we see,
Right.
but there's definitely images there, and those things can and are interpreted. And so people do dream. It's probably different than what we do because we're taking in information through our eyes, but there's many other ways that we do. We have other senses as well, and visually impaired people or people who are hearing impaired, whatever, they develop other senses to compensate for, where they don't have the ability to take in one sense of seeing or hearing or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, are there really other places and people in other dimensions that we can contact during sleep?
Yes, there are. Actually, when we are relaxed and we go into deep levels of sleep, we're not just having random neurological chemical reactions in our brain
Mm-hmm.
that are producing images. That's one part of it. We do need to process while we're sleeping and kind of discharge the negative energy and work things out and work out some issues. But there's also guides that we have, spiritual guides, so to speak. We have people that are with us from birth. There are people that we see that have crossed over to the other side that we can have direct contact with. Usually we hear them in our dream, and so in answer to the person who's visually impaired, that sense is open to them, and we can hear. One of the biggest, strongest pieces of information in a dream is what I call the voice in the dream. The book I wrote, which is called Dream Moments, Prophecy Intuition, talks a lot about the voice in our dream that speaks to us. What is this voice that gives us information? And often it's voices of guides or people that we have lived with, people that we have been with in this lifetime and other lifetimes as well, people from other planets. So we really do have quite a lot of things that go on. In other dimensions, there's things that are very similar to what's on Earth plane. There's restaurants, there's schools, there's libraries, and we're very busy. We're actually very busy people doing a lot of different things while we sleep. And some people are much more tuned into this. Some people actually experience it more directly, and some people develop the ability to do that. And some people will say, I don't dream, I just
Mm-hmm.
don't dream at all.
No wonder I'm so tired when I wake up in the morning.
Because you're busy.
Yeah. How do you know? How like when I have a dream, and it's come to the point where I say, hey, wait a minute, this is a dream I'm having. How I am able to tell I am in a dream is I try and read something.
Okay.
And I can't read a newspaper. I can't read notes. I can't read signs in a dream. And I know at that time it's a dream, and that's when I start having fun.
Okay, that's great. What do you do then?
Oh, I can do anything I want because I know it's a dream.
So you really test that reality out.
I sure do. Like
Yeah.
I've flown in dreams. I have jumped over mountains in dreams. I have done everything I want to do in a dream, because when I go to, whether it's a store or whether I go to the newspaper rack and I try and read that newspaper and I can't, this is fun time.
You say, I am in a dream.
Exactly.
I can walk through that wall. I can fly. I can teach other people to fly.
That's right.
I can do all kinds of things, and then you feel really free. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
I was talking to some elders from a tribe in Bolivia and years ago, and they were telling me that our waking hours are really our dream hours, and our dream hours are really our reality.
Well, I can really understand that
Mm-hmm.
and agree with that because, the song "Life is but a dream."
Yep.
The fact is that what's real? What is the dream? Is it this world? So when the tribe from Bolivia says that, what my understanding of that is that the other dimensions and other places we go to sometimes are more real, more vivid, more freeing, more than the Earth plane where we are confined very much to gravity and to the physical body. So it makes a lot of sense to me.
All right, please stand by. Ruth, you and I have to take a break. Ruth Hoskins is our special guest, and Ruth and I will be back after the news. If you'd like to find out more about Ruth, visit her website at www.relaxationinternational.com. And we will be back after the news as the X Zone continues live and around the world from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, exclusively on X Zone TV, shortwave, and on the Talkstar Radio Network. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. Our special guest this hour is Ruth Hoskins. And we're talking about dreams. And Ruth's website is www.relaxationinternational.com. Now, Ruth, is there any special way that we have to prepare ourselves for prophetic dreams?
Well, prophetic dreams are such a gift to receive when we're dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get very specific information, we can prepare ourselves by starting with the basics. And the basics are that if you don't believe you dream, I reassure you everybody does dream. Get a journal, put it by your bed. Start to ask questions before you go to sleep at night. Review that for a week. Take a couple of days off and then review it again. And then when you get up in the morning, write it down. In the middle of the night, write down your dreams. So you'll start to see patterns and threads, and you'll start to get connected to this other world, this world that is so rich with information. And then you can have all kinds of experiences. You can wake up within a dream and have a lucid dream where you can direct the dream. And you may get prophetic information where you receive dates and information about some things that might happen in the future. But most importantly, you've got to start with the basics. And the basics are writing down the dream, taking a look at the patterns, seeing what it means. Because dreams are very unique to every individual. That's why the dream books, although very interesting and to read, and we do have collective dreams and archetypal images in dreams, but the facts are that we're all very individual people and we have different experiences, so our dreams have to be interpreted by ourselves. So, yeah, we can ask for a dream. We can ask for information about the future. We've got to look for those patterns, and we've got to get real savvy about the interpretation. And every day, we've got to see it as such a fun thing to do. I can't even emphasize it enough to the listeners that there's just so much information in just the smallest snippet of a dream, and how often those snippets become a reality. The next day or a few days later. You can see it right then and there because of that 360-degree point of view.
Tell me, do dreams last more than a few seconds, or is time-space suspended when we dream?
Well, actually, we dream shorter dreams when we go to sleep in the beginning of the night. And usually we dream every 90 minutes in that REM cycle. And then as we, later in the evening, we can dream for as long as 45 minutes. We can have a lot of images that are going on, so that It depends, and it also depends on the kind of sleep that we're getting to remember the dream, although we are still dreaming. Towards morning, sometimes we pick up more on the dream. But dreams are very ephemeral, and they will leave almost immediately. Although I have come up with a way to remember dreams, and this is what I do, and I'm laughing a little bit because I hope I'm not fooling myself. It seems to be working. Sometimes I'm just too tired. I do keep the dream journal right near the bathroom in case I go there, but I will wake up, I will review the dream for about 5-10 minutes. I can go back to sleep in a minute, and maybe I'll jot down one or two things, but just putting that into my short-term memory while I'm sleeping, sometimes I can recall it very quickly in the morning, not always, and it takes practice, it takes skill, because dreams just seem to leave us right away. They just disappear, so it's important to write them down.
Why do some people have nightmares and other people don't?
Yes, people do have nightmares. Children have nightmares. Adults sometimes have nightmares. Sometimes it's the way that we're sleeping. Sometimes we're too hot under the blanket, and we can actually heat up, and we can have our face turned towards the pillow. We're not getting enough breath. We're not getting enough air. Some people have problems with sleep apnea, and then it can become a physiological reaction, almost a fight or flight reaction, which you can wake up suddenly and your heart is racing a little bit, and you've had this kind of bad dream. So it can be something that's happening because of the climate in the bedroom. It can happen because we have so much stress in our lives. We're trying to process and get answers to something. Perhaps we had an argument with somebody, and we can have feel just overwhelmed and overloaded. Sometimes we have nightmares just because we just really are taking on too much, and it's a way that it comes out and letting us know in a very loud voice, hey, you've got to slow down. This is just too much. Or it can be a nightmare where you get information. I had a dream very recently about, when I look back on it now, a friend who got very sick right after this dream, and a week prior to that, I was having nightmares and getting information of worlds ending and collapsing and not being able to breathe it. And truthfully, that's basically what happened a week later to the friend who I'm very close to. And I can see the connection with it as well. At that point, I just wanted to ignore it, and there was really not all that much going on in my life that I could relate to it. Everything was pretty good, so why was I having this dream? Very important to track it so you can make some of these connections. Although in this person's illness, when they were diagnosed, I never could have, I would not have guessed that at all. And because we live in denial. That's another reason for nightmares, too. That's the way human beings function.
Everyone that I've ever spoken to about dreams always talks about that shock that we sometimes get, that jolt that wakes us. Some people have told me that it's the spirit returning to the body. Other people have said it's a point of consciousness, semi-consciousness, and your body doesn't know which way to go. What is your explanation of that jolt?
We leave our bodies when we sleep, and it's a good show to talk about that on. Basically, we have other finer astral bodies that we can travel around with, that we do. I mean, we are connected to our earth body, but if for some reason something happens or we feel threatened, we can have, again, a physiological reaction. We have to get up, we have to go to the bathroom. So at that point, we'll make a connection to our physical body, and we'll come right back in, and that can wake us up, and it can be a real jolt. Or that can even happen when we're falling asleep.
Yeah.
Because we're leaving the body at that point, and it's fragile, and we're not quite deep enough in sleep, and it can scare people, and it wakes them up. It makes them feel unnerved, so they wake up. And yes, it is basically a shift in consciousness. I mean, everything is a shift in consciousness. Talking about dreams and what intuition and developing, it's a shift in consciousness to understand what is it, what is actually happening. Unfortunately, the way that we divide consciousness is so linear, but in reality, it's not linear. It's really not. It's just one big ball of energy and consciousness and beingness. And so when we dream, we shift that point of consciousness. And when we move away from our physical body, which we do protect because here it is on earth taking care of us on our soul walk, we can want to get back into it.
Ruth Hoskins is our special guest, www.relaxationinternational.com. Ruth, what is one of the most well-known prophecy dreams recorded about a famous public figure?
Well, that's a great question. One of the most well-known is our beloved president, our President Abraham Lincoln. And maybe you heard about the fact that several nights, days even, he dreamed that he saw somebody lying. He heard, first of all, moans in the dream.
Mm-hmm.
And he went into the East Room and he said, what's all the crying about? What's happening here? And he looked over and he saw somebody lying in a coffin. And he said, what has happened? And one of the guards were guarding the coffin, and they turned towards him and they said, the president, he's been shot, or the president, he is dead. And a few days later, he was killed. And again, his body was laid to rest in the East Room. So it's a very prophetic dream. His wife said later, and it is recorded, this is recorded information, that his dream was prophetic. And so it's one of the most famous dreams that...
One of our listeners would like me to ask you,
Sure.
They're 55 years old right now,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they still remember vividly a dream or a nightmare that they had when they were 7. Why do some dreams stay with us and others go?
It's like anything that we remember that really makes an impact on our brain.
Mm-hmm.
It goes into long-term memory, into the hippocampus. And I'm not saying the dream that the person is talking about is traumatic, but it was probably vivid enough, it made enough of an impression, it had enough dimension and color and shape and emphasis, and for that person to remember that. I can ask you, Rob, you can look back perhaps at a time in elementary school and you're on the playground and you
Mm-hmm.
remember something that happened very
Sure.
vividly.
Yes, I do.
Right, and you could say, well, I was only 10 years old then. And how come that's the case? Because some things really make an impression on us. And dreams,
Actually, I can recall at a very young age, I believe I was 4 when I fell and broke my arm, and I can remember in the hospital getting the cast put on. I can vaguely remember the night that I broke my arm. So memories like that, I would imagine, were caused by stress, by the
trauma.
By the trauma.
Yeah, by the trauma, by the vividness, by the energy, by the emotional reaction from the amygdala. It makes an impression on the brain, and we can remember that sometimes then better than we can say what today is. What is Wednesday? Okay, well, what did I do on? What did I eat on? Where was I on Monday?
Yes.
2 days ago, because there was no impression there.
Mm-hmm.
But when something does make an impression, a dream, or like you broke your arm, you said in the school when you were 4, rather, that makes an impression on us, and we will remember that. I can remember dreams when I was 3 years old. 3 years old. And I actually named these dreams because I would find myself out of my body and in this other place, and I really would have preferred not to be such a clear dreamer back then because I didn't understand it and there was no language for it. But it would be so real, and I'd be wandering around in these places and doing these things, and I can actually consciously remember thinking, I really want to come back into my bed and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how vivid those dreams still are. And actually, in the dream, I had a 3-year-old. I was my 3-year-old self. It was a young person dreaming this as well. So, in answer to the caller's question, that's the reason why.
Is it one other question that I've always asked is how can we wake ourselves out of a dream if we know we're having a dream?
Well, we have a couple choices. We can move further into the dream if we know we're having the dream.
Mm-hmm.
and know that we're safe and we're okay, and we can wake up into what's called more lucid dreaming, clear dreaming, where we're much more aware, much more conscious of being awake inside of a dream. Or at that point, maybe that's not a comfort zone for people because you have to kind of develop that skill a little bit. And sometimes I am just too tired to go there.
Right.
I might wake up into a lucid dream and say, I'm a little bit too tired to explore this tonight. I think I'm just going to go back to my regular sleeping. Or I think I want to wake up. And what we can do is we can shake our body, which is hard to do. You know, it's really hard to shake your body when you're tired. But you have total control. You can will yourself awake. You can decide to wake up. People do wake up when they're having bad dreams because they're uncomfortable for the person. So you can shake, you can decide, you can actually get conscious control and shake your body and decide to wake up.
How do we prepare ourselves if we want to meet someone in our dream who has passed from this realm to the next?
Well, what I do if I want to meet somebody is I have their picture, and I will put it by the bed, and I will say, I hope I'm not disturbing you. I want some information. I hope you'll be able to meet me in the dream world and where we can talk. I really would like to, get some clarification on this, or just to see you again, or to hug you. Please meet me again in the dream world. Once again, intentionality, and then I'll perhaps do some meditation on my heart chakra, put my hand there, rub it around, open up my heart, invite that person in, and fall asleep and see what I pick up in dreams.
All right, stand by, Ruth. You and I have to take our final break. Still to come on tonight's show, David Campione will be talking about UFOs. That's still to come tonight here on the X Zone. By the way, if you'd like to read that article I wrote about Wake Up Ufology, go to our website, www.xzoneradio.com. It's right at the very top. Take a look at it, read it, and also the video that is of the so-called Stephenville UFO. I'd love to hear your comments on what you think it is. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, and I will be back with Ruth Hoskins on the other side of this break as we continue right here on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone TV, and on shortwave.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
19 Sergeant Central. 19 Sergeant, check. Officers on the scene.
Hi, I'm Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout. With over 36 years in law enforcement, I have learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, how we gather the evidence, preserve that evidence, and present it to a jury of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Join me, Larry Lawson, every week on Paranormal Stakeout when, along with my guests, we'll take a journey to prove with indisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Go to xzbn.net for the broadcast schedule and check me out at paranormalstakeout.com.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today www.soulbalancing.world.
Ruth Hoskins is our special guest this hour, www.relaxationinternational.com. First of all, Ruth, thanks very much for joining us tonight and for sharing your expertise on dreaming.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Now,
real pleasure.
I have to ask you, what is one of the most profound dreams that you have ever had?
One of the most profound dreams I've ever had is I was giving a retreat, and it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. I was sleeping soundly, and I had to be up at around 7 to teach the meditation class, and I heard a voice in the dream tell me that my mother would die on, this is about 20 years ago, January 28th that year. It was the holiday season in December, and that gave me 1 month to prepare. I ran to a telephone. I knew she'd been sick, but she was kind of hiding that from the children. And I asked her, how sick are you really? And she said, why do you ask? I didn't go into the dream with her, but I said, I just want to know. I think you're a lot more sick than you're letting us know. And she did die on that date.
My goodness.
Yes, that was. And I actually published that dream, and I had to have it notarized in Fate magazine 20 years ago. So it was a very, very profound, life-changing dream for me because it was so very specific about how I would help her to cross over and what that meant in terms of going to other places, other dimensions, watching her detoxify from the cancer that she had, and then helping her when she went on to higher levels, too. Really saw it all.
Have you seen your mother in dreams since then?
I have. I've seen my mother. I've also dreamed the day when my father would die. Sometimes these very big events have been given to me, and I see them as gifts. I've seen my mother. My father actually gave me information in the last 5 years after he died about some specific things that he wanted me to do and where to go to do it, and these things really did show up as pieces of paper that I was able to execute that I needed to do to, finish whatever he had started, in terms of his estate. And so it was very clear. People do come to you. They will talk to you in your dream. It's really a fact, and it's just a question of tuning in and developing yourself and getting stronger like a muscle in this area.
What could a person do who says, like Kathy did earlier tonight, I don't dream?
I say to that person, I've heard that before, and I, understand that, but it just takes a little bit of tweaking for you to realize that you do indeed dream, because everybody does dream. You're just not catching them. You're just not picking up on them. It's just not part of your reality yet. But make it a part of your reality. Invite it in. Invite it in, because it in itself has an energy. It in itself has a life force. It's part of your dreaming life force. And it's just like anything. People say to me, I'm a couch potato. I can't exercise. I say, you haven't exercised it yet. Everybody can, put their intention on something that they want and change their perception and really see that they do dream.
Ruth Hoskins, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be on your show, Rob. Thank you.
Good night, Ruth.
Good night.
Ruth Hoskins has been our guest this hour. Her website is www.relaxationinternational.com. Exo Nation, when I come back from this news break at the top of the hour at 6.5 minutes past, I will be joined by David Campione, and we are going to be talking about UFOs. 1-877-528-8255 is our toll-free number. If you'd like to send an email, xzone@talkstarradio.com. On MSN Messenger, talkstarradio@hotmail.com. And our two websites, xzoneradio.com, and to watch and listen to us live from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, www.xzonetv.com. I'll be back on the other side of the news. Don't go away.